I'm Tom Baker, this is Chasing Cars, and today is a good day if you're a fan of Nissan sports cars, because after 12 years, they finally have a new Z car to show us, kind of. What they do have is a Z Proto, which is basically a final stage prototype of the forthcoming car that we think will probably be called the 400Z, though calling it the 300Z or 300ZX would probably make more sense, because one thing we know that it will have is a 3-litre twin-turbo V6, a confirmed 6-speed manual, and also an optional automatic transmission. And for now, we only know that it's coming as a rear-wheel drive coupe. And it looks pretty cool, like this, in this incredible, vibrant shade of yellow. And in today's video, I'm going to take you through everything we know about the new Nissan Z Proto, and when we expect it to hit Australia. But first, I'm going to eat this little Z car gingerbread that Nissan sent up to really sweeten today for me. But just because they send me gingerbread doesn't mean we'll be any easier on the Z Proto. While this may be a very cool retro-meets-postmodern rear-drive V6 manual coupe, we always need to bring a critical eye to what we do. To that end, is this really a new car? That's a question I took to Nissan's global performance car product manager earlier today. And while there are plenty of eye-catching new features outside the Z Proto, it's clear from the interior that we're dealing with a platform that at least partially carries over. Identical interior door cards, very similar cabin architecture, and even a nearly identical glass house gives away that the 400Z won't be all new. That being said, it's very hard to blame Nissan for wanting to drive more value from some of the outgoing 370Z's existing components. First, actual buyers have almost deserted this class. When the original Z car launched, two-door cars sold very strongly, and that popularity held up in the 80s, 90s, and even the first decade of the 2000s. However, with the rise of the SUV, fewer and fewer people buy into a personal sports car like this. Plenty say they'll buy it, but not many do. What's very clear though is that whatever carries over from the existing car will be changed and strengthened to cope with a very different beast in the 400Z, if that's what it is called in the end. For starters, the engine will likely be a total animal compared to the outgoing 3.7-litre naturally aspirated V6. The cylinder count and arrangement will remain, but 2 turbochargers will be added, and the displacement will fall to 3 litres even. Today, it was confirmed that a 6-speed manual will remain the standard gearbox, while an automatic will be an option. Power and torque outputs have not yet been confirmed, but we believe this engine is Nissan's VR30 DD-TT, which ranges between 224 kilowatts or 300 horsepower and 298 kilowatts or 400 horsepower in existing Infiniti usage. Today though, Hiroshi Tamura, the boss of GTR and Nismo, suggested that it isn't really the amount of power that matters for a Z car, but instead the balance and ability of this car to put the torque to the road in an engine of this style, and we think it will produce about 500 Newton meters, and that will match the Toyota Supra, which is a key rival. Obviously, it's easy to make platitudes about balance and handling, but when you decide to put a twin-turbo V6 into a car like this, clearly performance is going to be key, and with the Supra often running a 0 to 100 km/h time of under 4 seconds, there will be pressure on the Z to compete. The Z's retro styling outside is striking as far as I'm concerned, and modern paint technologies have allowed Nissan to give this car a far more vivid yellow hero colour than the 300ZX of the 90s, which had a more muted yellow. Inside, the Z Proto is an interesting mix of old and new. Old? Well, we'd recognise those 2008 vintage doors anywhere. It's the new stuff that is more eye-catching, including the modern infotainment and standard digital driver display, though the Z Proto retains the triple performance binnacle readouts above the central touchscreen and lateral air vents. There's a new steering wheel for the Z Proto with a lovely little airbag cover and an almost Mercedes-Benz-esque spoke design, while the central slate touchscreen is neatly integrated and avoids the stuck-on iPad look of many modern-era cars. As for when we should see the production version of the 400Z or 300ZX or whatever the Z Proto ends up being known as in the real world, I anticipate we will see it before the end of 2021. Where does that guess come from? Well, today Tamura-san indicated that we should look at the gap between the GTR Proto of 2005 and the R35 GTR that we saw about a year after that car with very few design changes. So, what do you think of the Nissan Z Proto? What do you hope they'll change for the production model, which we'll probably see next year? Or have they nailed this foreshadowing preview of the 400Z? Let me know all your thoughts down below in the comments. While you're there, make sure to hit subscribe and the notification bell. And as always, thanks for watching Chasing Cars.